Hi, my name's Allison. I'm a psychic medium and a farmer. Today's day 21, milking my cow on TikTok. Today I'm going to talk about the full moon release and explain it using pie chart wedges and donation drop-off boxes. When I first learned about releasing something to the full moon, it sounded a little too woo-woo for my liking. Anything I read about it was talking about creating moon water, charging crystals, rituals, things like that. And all of those things, super fine. Do it if that's what feels good to you. But it just didn't hit quite right for me. But I still like the idea of this release and reset. So I'm going to use some terminology and some things that we already do in our everyday life to help draw some parallels on why it's a good thing to do and how you can do it if you do not feel moved to follow the more traditional path of full moon release rituals and the things that go with it. So imagine your life and your mind and everything that it contains as a pie chart. At least that's how I imagine it. Within that pie chart, there are different wedges of various sizes. In our pie chart, our lives, most of the time, are completely full. There's not any extra space within it. There's no empty spot for a wedge to appear, unless we take one of those wedges out so that something else can move into its place. All of these wedges are lessons and experiences and things that are happening or have happened in our life. And as long as we're learning something from it, as long as it's providing use to us, that wedge should stay in our pie chart. But what happens when that wedge is no longer serving you, is no longer providing a benefit? What happens, what do you do when that wedge is just taking up space? What do we do? It's time to remove that wedge. But where do we put it? Especially if that wedge is connected to an unsavory experience. If you didn't know, today, November 5th, is the beaver moon. That's the name of the moon for November. And it is also a super moon. I think this fullest of full moonness is like a little after 8 a.m. Eastern time, so I got like an hour and a half. But it's not like you have to wait until that exact moment to do your full moon release. The moon is very flexible and gives us a grace period of a day or two before and after where the moon is accepting all releases. So the very first time I learned about a full moon release was at, you guessed it, the beginning of my spiritual awakening. And before that awakening, if I would have read about the full moon release, I would have been like, this is a big crock of something stinky. I don't believe in any of it. But after my awakening, I felt the need to give it a go. Like, what's the worst that could happen if I release something? So that's when this image of the pie chart came into my mind. And if you think about what provides the most space for you to bring something new into your life, it would be removing the biggest, least helpful wedge. And for me, my big wedge was tied to first moments of life of what happened to me down in the basement. I talk about that vaguely in previous videos. And what I had realized as an adult is that my mom didn't actually report it to the police or bring me to the doctor like she said she did. Wah, wah. And so that was a really big, very unhelpful wedge that took up so much space in my mind, in my heart, in my everyday life. And it was time to go because I was ready for something new. I was ready for that to not be such a big part of my life anymore. But what do you do with something like that where you don't want it? I can't just offhand it to someone else. This is where the donation drop-off box analogy comes into play. So we clean our houses out. You know, we do spring cleaning or get ready for fall. You know, our kids outgrow their clothes. And so we, like, at our house, we have this perpetual box in the back of my car that when there's something we no longer need, instead of holding on to it and not being useful, we bring it to our local donation center, and every time I go and get groceries, we drop it off because someone else could use it, and that makes more sense than it just taking up space and not being useful in our house. This is where the moon comes into play. The moon is our donation drop-off box. When I donate old clothes and an old lamp and some books that I've read and I don't need them anymore, I bring them to the drop-off box and donate them. Do I know where they go? No. Do I know how many hands exchange and use it? No. I just know I'm finished with this item and it can be useful somewhere else. So I like to think of the moon as an alchemizer, and I like to think of these pie wedges that we have that we're giving up as energy. I like to think that the moon is almost like a currency exchange where I'm like, here's my not so great stuff. Here's my units of energy, and can you please convert it into something neutral or positive or anything other than that, right? And give it away. Use that energy as how you see fit. I don't know, and it's not that I don't care. I don't know, and I don't need to know how you alchemize this energy, this experience, because I just know I'm done with it. And you can have it and use it as how you see fit. I am already winning because by eliminating this pie wedge out of my life, out of my mind, out of my heart, now I can receive something new. I think this quote was in Interstellar. I don't know if it's original to the movie or if they got it from somewhere else, but in order to move forward, you have to leave something behind. That's the message we're trying to give with this full moon release. And we kind of do this with New Year's resolutions, but why would you wait once a year to get rid of or change something in your life for the better? That's silly. And you don't have to wait for the full moon, but it's almost nearly a monthly habit. So new moons are for intention. So we're calling in like, what new wedge do I want to come into my pie chart? And a full moon release is, what wedge do I need to remove so that something new can come in? That's like a monthly spiritual, emotional, mental, physical clean out. And that's a wonderful habit to start. My life changed so much for the better when I was willing to heave-ho that big unsavory wedge out of my pie chart. Sometimes it feels like it's good to start with the small ones, but I started with the big one. I highly recommend it. In the past, I've given away a lot of things to the moon. Some of them are experiences that I've gone through. Some of them are my own thoughts and feelings against myself. Like October of 2023, I gave away my ability or my desire to talk and think and speak unkindly about myself, even if it was joking. I just said, it's illegal now. I'm no longer doing this. I'm giving all of that energy I used to put into putting myself down. I'm gonna give it to the moon. And the moon is going to put it somewhere wonderful. Thank you, moon. And I look at the moon and I think about my intention, what I want to give away, and I say, thank you for taking this away from me. Thank you for allowing me to have something new and something better into my life. And I just imagine that wedge just flopping up, and the moon just takes it, and the moon's like, yeah, that's what I'm here for. I'm the moon, that's what I do. And that's it. It's your full moon ritual. Make it however you want it to be. I always like to put a little bit of joy and goofiness because that's how I live my life. Many people feel that this is a very sacred, special moment that they want to honor and respect. I love that too. Do whatever and think about it however you want that makes you feel good inside. Thanks for joining us on day 21, and feel free to share your full moon rituals in the comments if you'd like.